Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Break into College. I am your host, LoVetta Jenkins. Today, we are talking to Rhonda Copeland Lyle, and she is phenomenal and has an amazing book all about how you can get all of these wonderful scholarships. Today, we are breaking into college, mom edition, and we're not gatekeeping. Welcome, Rhonda. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to talk
Yes.
with you today.
So am I. We're going to get into some good information. But first, tell our listeners and our viewers a little bit about yourself.
Well, a little bit about me. I am the author of, and I'll put up my book, The Warrior Mom: How I Fought to Get a Great Education and Scholarships for My Children and Others. $10 million won. So I've helped students get $10 million in scholarships for a variety of things. Um, my daughter got her first scholarship when she was 10 years old. When she was in the
Wow.
fifth grade. There's scholarships for anything and everything that's out there. And that's what I'm here to talk about today. And I'm just excited to get started.
Listen, so am I. And knowing that your daughter got her first scholarship at 10 lets me know that you're not new to all of this. You are tried and true to it, and you know the inner workings of it. And I'm excited because we're going to help these other moms. Because let's be honest, college starts with moms. We're going to help these other moms by not gatekeeping the information. Tell me, first of all, how did you even get into looking into all this information?
Well, I got involved in it when my daughter was actually 10 months old because my niece and nephew came to live with my husband and I,
Mhm.
and they were 6 and 9 years old. And the 9 year old nephew had a disability. And then, in
Mhm.
addition to that, another niece came to live with us. So I went from one child to four literally overnight. And
Ooh.
so I had to do a whole lot of research, especially as it related to my nephew who had a disability, about the programs, IEPs, and all those types of things. I knew
Mhm.
nothing about any of that. So that's how I started researching about opportunities for my kids. And it just grew from there. I started sharing the information with my friend group, with people at school, and basically anyone who needed information. At my church, I would give presentations at my church. And just over the years, I've just accumulated all of this information. And I'm here to let families know there are scholarships for anything and everything that your child wants to do.
So, speaking of that, anything and everything your child wants to do, that is very big, very broad. How do you know that?
Well, I know that because my kids have gotten full scholarships for elementary school, middle school, high school,
Mm.
college, study abroad, golf camps, leadership camps. There's so much out there, and it was my intent is to find out as much as I could about everything that was out there. And just over the years, I've just I have this vast database of information, and I decided to put it in a book because so many of my friends and colleagues were saying,
Mhm.
you really need to put this information, document it, put it in a book. And so I did. And so now
And that
I work
book,
with families and organizations. Anyone who wants me to
mhm.
come and speak, I come and talk to them about these opportunities that are out there. It's just amazing. You will be amazed. I have something for adults, including you.
See, and
Scholarship.
that's
You
that's
want to study
that's what I
abroad?
want
I
to
got
know.
something for you too.
Yeah, that's what I want to know because over time you've just amassed, like you said, this big database in your mind of information. You finally took it all, put it in a book, and the book again is Warrior Mom, and it's not even so much of digging out scholarships, but it's champion being a champion for your child from day one, actually, and not just starting when it's college time, even though a lot of times that can happen. It's not just starting when they're in the 12th grade or the 10th grade and you're trying to figure out what they're going to do.
Yeah,
It
that
really starts
you
from
start early.
day one.
You have to start early because some of these programs, they have programs that start you early and they will follow you all the way through high school and college. So I like to talk to families about those. And I always tell you, families and young people out there, a quote I have in my book is, don't accept no from anyone not authorized to say yes. And what I mean by that is when you talk to the first person on a telephone call or what have you, it's usually a lower level person, a
Mhm,
secretary, or the receptionist. Well, they're all authorized to say no. A lot of times
mhm,
they don't know what their companies are offering, their organizations are offering. So I always went to the top person. And once the top person said no, then I would, you know, move on and go to the next top person. But you
mhm.
just have to keep asking. For example, everyone goes to the grocery store.
Right.
Everyone goes to the bank. Do you know that your grocery stores offer scholarships? They have foundations. The airlines have foundations that they give scholarships for young people and not so young people. Any organization that you frequent, that you go to, always ask them about scholarships. And don't just start when your child is in high school. Start now. For example, if your child wants to do a swim camp or something like
Mhm.
that, or a basketball camp, go to these organizations that you bank at and ask them. So, but the money is just out there, and you just, as parents and as guardians, we have to learn how to ask for it because you are your child's best advocate.
Mhm. So, when you speak about advocating for your child, what does that look like in a real time setting? If I right now had a 7 year old and I see that my 7 year old is really inquisitive about, building. And, they really love blocks. They're really kind of intrigued by, construction sites. What does that look like advocating for that 7 year old? Are there programs I should look into? What do I do?
Well, I always like to start with whenever this my kids were starting school.
Hmm.
At the beginning of the school year, I always sent an email to the teacher introducing my child to them and our family to them to let them know that I'm ready to work with them in partnership to ensure the success of my child. And then also give them a little bit of information about your child. So if your child is interested in building things, ask them about opportunities if they know about opportunities for summer programs. A lot of the teachers have this information or can get this information, but sometimes they don't always remember to talk about it, or they only
Hmm.
will talk about it to certain people. So you ask them about it and then you do your own research. As I said, if you know your child is interested in a builder, go to Home Depot and ask them about summer programs that they have at Home Depot. My kids did programs at Home Depot during the summer, learning how to build things and all kinds of things. And then if there's something that's outside of that and it's a cost, ask Home Depot if they have scholarships to pay for it. You will be surprised at how many yeses you get by just asking the question.
That is some good knowledge. And I love the fact that you're not just hoarding it and saying, oh, it's there, get the book. You're actually
Oh
sharing
no.
some of the bullet points and some of the key points that are in the book. But I feel like I never would even thought to go to Home Depot and say, hey, you got any scholarships for children for summer programs or anything like that? Any other, like, is it literally every place you go you can ask?
Every place you go, your bank, if you're the airline you fly on, the Home Depot, any store that you frequent, they all have these foundations. And a lot of times, if you Google them and just say Home Depot Foundation, you'll be surprised the information will pop up and it will give you contact information. It will normally nowadays will give you an email address. Send an email address. If it gives you a name, send an email to anyone that's in a high level position within that organization. If you send it to 5 people, maybe one person will respond to you. I've done it many times. I've advised other families to do it. They've done it and it's helped. I just helped this young man get a scholarship to do a free program that the FBI was offering. And they do it across the country because I worked for the FBI, started my government career with the FBI. Well, they
Mm,
have a leadership program for teenagers. I believe the age is from 13 to 16. And it's free. And they have it in their field offices across the country. I told a young man and his family about it. They applied for it and he got the program. A whole week, free education and free enrichment programs with the FBI. And so, what is that going to help him do? When other things come up for him, that they have other things,
mhm.
they're going to send him an email or his family an email first. If they want to try to recruit him for a government job, they're going to come to him and offer him scholarships.
Because they followed him literally from a child
Exactly.
up.
Exactly.
Oh, that's some good
Exactly.
information. Very, very. I am so thankful that you came to share this information with the moms because a lot of times, a lot of the kind of legwork or a lot of the grunt work falls on the mothers. Because sometimes kids don't really
Absolutely.
plan, or we have to kind of stay on top of them to make sure they get everything
Mhm.
done. What's another tip that you would give a mother who has a child in kindergarten?
Well, in my case, my daughter loved to read, and I wanted to keep her interested in reading and getting enjoyment out of it. So I actually started a book club for her when she was 5 years old. And some of the students that were in my book club were as young as 3 years old, and they weren't quite reading. So for the students
Mhm.
that weren't reading, the parent had to read the book to them. We would come together as a group, and each student had to get up in front of their peers and their parents and talk about the book that they read or that their parents read to them. And in addition to that, whatever the book was about, we did an activity around that. So one time I hosted one of the events, and I took them to the Smithsonian because we read a
Mhm.
book about Ramar Bearden, and they were having an event at the Smithsonian. And we
Mm.
took them to that event, and it was for children. They did a workshop where they could create their own artwork. And so we did lots of things like that. And not only that, these kids I started the book club for them. My daughter was 5. They took this book club all the way through high school themselves. They came up with whatever they wanted to talk about whenever they wanted to talk about, because they were all doing different things, but they would
Mhm.
always get together. And when President Obama was first elected, we did an event for them. And at that time, they were all maybe 10 to 12 years old. We did an event for our community. And guess what? The Washington
Right.
Post came out and covered it because I sent a press release to them telling them
Mhm.
about what we were doing. As moms, as parents, you have to take the initiative. Don't let anyone tell you no, you can't do. Just do it. And
Mhm.
those were the types of things the young people that I work with along with my children. So I wasn't just doing this for my kids. I was doing this for the community of children. Anyone who was interested in coming along with me, they came along with me. And I still do that now. That's my passion. That's my love. And my goal in life is to get as much information out there to as many people who need and want this information. And for those who don't think they needed the information, hopefully they now know there's information out there. Just ask the question.
Okay, so we've helped the parents of, the small children, the children kind of in middle school. What would you say to a parent who, they have their kids all together, everything's cool. What would you say to a parent who is curious about the journey themselves?
Oh, for the parents?
Mhm.
Oh, well, there's lots of programs that are out there, especially if you're a parent, you're a professional. Especially, there's lots of things out there for teachers. If you're interested in studying abroad, there's programs for you to study abroad in whatever career field that you're in. Also, and let me just go back to the young people. My daughter went to China fully funded to learn Mandarin when she was 15 years old, fully funded. My niece went to Spain, fully funded when she was 16 years old. And then in college, she went to South Africa, fully funded through the State Department. As I said, there is so much money that's out there that I just want people to have access to and start asking about and asking questions about.
And we both know the answer is always no if you don't ask.
Exactly. It's always going to be no. It's always going to be no. And even when you ask, if you're asking the wrong person, the answer is going to be no because they don't usually know what's within their own organization because they're not at the level to know. That's why I say, don't accept no from anyone not authorized to say yes.
So, an example of someone like the higher up in any company, what's the job title or the position title that they need to be looking for? Because somebody might not know, maybe I'm going to take no from the, sales exec when they really need to be looking for who.
Marketing, whoever the people that's in their marketing department, lots of marketing departments, HR departments within these organizations, they will have that type of information. That's kind of where you start. And then you ask, well, who is handling scholarships for a variety of whatever scholarship you're looking for. Most people, as I said, they think that when they think scholarship, they only think about scholarships for college. There's also every student is not made out to go to college. There are also
Right.
scholarships for technical kids, kids are just interested in being a plumber or an electrician, because we all
Wow.
need those folks. And they have to be trained. And in most cases, the training that they get, they have to pay for. You can
Mhm,
ask anyone within your sphere, do they have money? The next time you're in your bank, talk to the bank manager and ask them, who should I talk to about getting scholarship for whatever it is you may be interested in looking for information for your child or for yourself for that matter. Just ask them to give you a contact person. You go into Home Depot, ask for a contact person about scholarship. You go buy your groceries, go to the customer service, ask them
mhm,
about scholarship. Now, the person that again you first meet, they won't know anything about it. Just ask
mhm.
them for the manager, and then the manager can find out that type of information. And
Oh,
anything that you purchase, if you buy Lay's potato chips, do you know the people who make Lay's potato chips, they provide scholarships. Anything that you're eating and buying from the store,
oh
they
my
have
goodness.
free money that's out there. You just have to ask for it. You have to find out. Keep going to the top person to get that person who's authorized to say yes. You'll be surprised about how much money you can get.
And I think it also should be said that scholarships aren't just for people who are quote unquote needy. Scholarships are
Exactly.
there to protect your money because you can use other money that is set aside specifically for that purpose. And I'm sorry, but I would
Exactly.
rather use that money than the money in my pocket that might be set aside for other household things or for other things going on. And wouldn't you say that that would be true?
Oh, absolutely. Because that was the case in our situation. Because
Mhm,
on paper, we always made too much money to qualify for a scholarship. But
mhm,
both my daughter and my niece went to private schools, fully funded for high school. That was 50K a year. We didn't have 50K a
mm,
year for high school, but we put in for a scholarship. Found out about an organization that would help them get through into the program and monitor them why they were in the program. And I volunteered for the program so I could understand how the program worked from within. Got fully
mm,
funded. And what I found out by going to these elite schools where the wealthy families fly their children in on their private plane is that those wealthy students were getting scholarships and they didn't even know it
mhm,
because their parents weren't using their own money. Their parents were making donations to the school and writing it off on their taxes. And then the school would turn around and give them a scholarship.
mhm.
So,
Listen, there's ways into
there
everything
are
if
ways.
you
You just
just
have to
know where to look.
understand. You just have to understand exactly where to look and what to do when you see it. And don't
So,
be afraid of asking.
right. I think that that would be step number one. Don't be afraid to ask.
Don't be
Step number
afraid.
two would be ask everybody.
Ask everybody.
What would you
Everyone.
say, like, a third point of action would be?
Third point of action as a parent is always be involved in what your child is doing.
Mm,
Know what they're doing, find out what their interests are, get them involved early. I started taking my kids on college tours in middle school because at that time I was living in the DC area.
mhm,
So for middle school, we would go on Georgetown, we would go to George Mason, we would go to George Washington, American, um, all of the schools that were in driving distance. And
mm,
then when you go to those schools, for example, we were going to host some foreign exchange students from China, and
okay.
my 11-year-old wanted to learn Mandarin. So I
Okay.
contacted the head of the department at Georgetown University of the Asian department and scheduled an appointment for me and my daughter to go in and meet her. Then I have to tell you, when we went in to meet the Asian woman who was in charge of the Asian department, she wasn't expecting a little 11-year-old black girl because I had sent her a copy of my daughter's resume. And let me remind you as well, my daughter's had a resume since she was 5 years old.
Okay.
Anything and everything that she did, I put in a format, resume format, so that I could remember first of all what she was doing. And since we had my niece and nephew was living, I had to keep
Mhm.
track of all the activities that all the kids were doing. So I would
Mm,
do a master resume for each of them, listing everything. Anything your child, if your child is 2 years old and your child is in a dance class, put that on their resume. If your child sings in the school choir, put that on their resume at
Whoa.
2 years old. Start recording the accomplishments and what your child is doing now. And as you build that resume, there will be specific things that you want them to apply for. Go back and look at that master resume, pull it from that, make a resume that's specific for that, whatever it is you're applying to. So if, for example, if your child is in dance and they love dance and it's going to cost you like, I don't know how much it costs to get, $500,
Hmm.
that dance location, send them a copy of your child's resume. I don't care if they're 2 years old.
Hmm.
They're not expecting a resume from a 2 year old or a
They're
5 year old
not.
or a 10 year old. you know?
That is so smart. And then by the time that child is 12, 13, 14, and really looking into getting into some programs that are going to follow them up and through college, it sets them apart when it comes application time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's why I say let your child try different things until they figure out what it is they want to do. My daughter wanted to do a golf camp. Well, I don't golf. Nobody in my family golf. But she wanted to do it. It was $200 a week. Well, could I have afforded $200? Yes, I could. But did I ask for a scholarship? Of course I did. So they gave her $100. And
Hmm.
she went because one of her little friends was going. And so she had a great time.
That is so smart. That is so smart. I love the fact that we are just opening up the gates and sharing all of this information for parents. And I know that there's so much more in the actual book. Where can we purchase your book, Warrior Mom?
Well, you can go online to Amazon
Mhm.
and Barnes and Noble online. Now, there's another book out there called Warrior Mom, and that book is about a mother and her autistic son. My
Mhm.
book, the subtitle is How I Fought to Get a Great Education and Scholarships for My Children and Others, $10 million one.
Okay. So we're looking for Warrior Mom from Rhonda
Rhonda
Copeland Lyle.
Copeland Lyle. That's
We are
right.
looking for that book from Rhonda Copeland Lyle because it is the master class on how to get scholarships for your children, no matter what your financial status is, getting the money for your children and finding all of this stuff so that ultimately, we're better prepared. That starting a resume at 2 is wild, but baby, I promise you that's going to set everybody apart.
Anything that your child is doing, I don't care what age they are, document it and put it in the form of a resume. And when they're
Oh.
that young, you put a cute little picture of them because I did. Oh, and the other thing too, I wanted to, when my daughter got her very first substantial scholarship, which was for $1,500 to do a leadership program, after she applied for it and I sent them a copy of her resume because they first came back and said, oh, well, she's not eligible for a scholarship. And so I had my daughter send them a copy. And at that time, she was 10. I sent them her resume. And then I had her call them after hours because
Mm.
I didn't want her to talk to a person. I wanted her to leave a message for a person. And she
Oh.
left a message saying, hi, my name is Danielle. She's 10. She sounds cute. I applied for the program. I'm really excited about coming. I'm hoping I can get a scholarship. 2 days later, she got a scholarship when they had said we weren't eligible for the scholarship because we made too much money. So don't
Oh.
let that deter you either. And on top of that, there were things that we applied for. For example, we applied for the Gates scholarship, which is a full ride for 4 years,
Mhm.
knowing we weren't eligible because made too much.
Right.
Applied for it, she did not get it, but the organization that sponsored it
Mhm.
and administered it for the Gates Foundation said, "Well, we can't give you the Gates scholarship because of the parameters.
Mhm.
However, we can give you a scholarship." They gave her $10,000.
So what I'm hearing is ask and then ask
Ask,
again.
ask again. Absolutely, keep asking. Even when you apply for these scholarships and they say you didn't get it, go back and ask them, well, are there any other scholarships that I may qualify for, or can you refer me to other organizations?
Mm.
When
The
you ask those
follow-up ask.
specific questions, they give you that information.
I think I found that to be true in life as well. You have to ask the specific question because a
Yes.
lot of times they're not allowed to just offer you that information, or they can't really just offer you that information. But
Mhm.
should you ask the specific question, you're going
Mhm.
to get the specific answer, and oftentimes that's the one you want.
That's the one you want. That's the
Oh
one you
my
want. And
goodness.
you got to be asking the right person. And you keep asking that question until you get to the right person. And
Listen,
now
I
everything is online. You can Google anything. For example, if you eat Lay's potato chips, I love Lay's potato chips. Go out on the Lay's website and find out if they have a foundation, and just type in Lay's Foundation scholarships. Whatever it is you like to eat, whatever company you buy from,
mhm.
Google them. See if they have a foundation or scholarship. Almost all of them do.
I believe in my soul that you have helped a lot of mothers, parents, period. I believe you've helped a lot of people today in sharing this information. And I know I'm going to have you back, and we're definitely going to have to do some more work with you. Rhonda, this has been
I would
amazing.
love to do a question and answer because I love answering the specific questions that parents have as well.
Oh, well, we're going to have to make that happen now, aren't we? Thank you so much, Rhonda, for being my guest today. I appreciate it.
It's
Thank
been a
you.
pleasure. Thank you so much. I mean, this is my passion and I just love doing it.
So, if you are interested in working with us and learning more about how we can help your teen or your program of students get through the college application process, you can always visit us at barrier-breakers.org, or more specifically, you can visit us at college.barrier-breakers.org. Again, that's college.barrier-breakers.org. You'll be able to find all information about our services there. You can always send us an email at hello@barrier-breakers.org. And if you are interested in supporting the work that we do here as a nonprofit, you can always go to barrier-breakers.org/support. There you'll be able to see more about how to help us support more students, how to volunteer with us, or if you want to sponsor a student and help us as we expand our free access to low-income students, you'll be able to sponsor a student there as well. None of this would be possible without your support. So whether you are supporting our work or you're signing your student up to work with us, we are so looking forward to getting to know you.